Alright, this is the last video series for Sunnova training. So now we're going to get into more details on how to create, basically how to edit the auto-populated design. Like let's just say your design came out not the way you wanted, or like you wanted that, like for example, this roof face wasn't touched. So you wanted to create a roof face for that, or like a ground mount. Anytime you edit the design, you do have to delete existing quotes, and then you have to redo the quote. Just a heads up, the quote I made no longer is active. So my goal is to put panels here and create a ground mount. So you're going to press this button, configure system. So scroll all the way down, edit in Aurora. I'll also make this video about batteries since I also did not talk about that. Yeah, you press edit in Aurora button. Now you have access to Aurora. So now you can do a free-for-all Aurora design. So I press, I'll move my head. My head is huge. Make that smaller. There we go. Okay. Panels, modules. So this is a tricky part. It does have to exactly match what's listed on Sunnova. Oops, let me sync design. Okay, so the panels you select in Aurora have to exactly match these words. So it has to say Q, which is Q peak duo, black, ML, G10, 410. So basically that's Q cell, 410 watt, but it's duo black. There's like multiple colors for a Q cell. So let me kind of show you the options here. So you're going to press select solar panel. So I like to type in 410 to make my options smaller. So there's a couple. Do you see it says Q peak dual ML? That is not the correct panel. It has to be exact verbiage. Q peak dual black ML. If you click the wrong one, you cannot resync it. It'll create a whole mess for everybody. All right, so that's how you select panels, and you can select orientation, so all of that. So yeah, before you select panels, you do it to create your roof face. Click on Site, Roof. I like to do just roof face by itself, and you just draw your roof. Yeah, try to closely match it. It's not going to be perfect, but whatever. I make sure orientation is the same, so you click on these arrows. Let's say it's east facing, north facing. But yeah, this is perfect already. Roof height to base. This is where it gets kind of tricky. I don't get too crazy with all this. I just try to semi-match it up. So you see where it says the top view? So you do want to kind of toggle on from top view, kind of look at it, from an angle. So I can see this pitch is really high. So you can probably put pitch as what, like 24. That's pretty standard. Stories, let's put 1 story. I want it to match the actual, 1 story. I want it to match similar to the mobile home here. That's what we're working with. That's semi-accurate. Obviously, site survey will make it a little more accurate. So I don't have to go crazy, but looks pretty good to me. Okay, so that's it. We're also going to make a roof face for a ground mount. So in order to do a ground mount, you do have to make an arbitrary roof. Let's just say there's a ground mount right here. Make your little square. You want it south, so click on the arrow for south. So ground mounts are also a little tricky. Instead of 3D view, I like to do, let's do a view right here. I like to do kind of like a small view. So pitch, I'm not sure if ground mounts start, 3 feet off the ground or something like that. So you can kind of start it off a little bit from the ground. You don't want 1 story. Let's do like 0.2 or something like that. So that's a little bit off the ground. And then pitch here is important. I'm not sure what ground mount pitch is for, like, let's say 15 degrees. So I want, basically, it's kind of the same tilt as whatever ground mount you want, 20, whatever that is. But yeah, make sure that the stories is correct, because, for example, if you put 2 stories, you're starting up way higher, so that tree right there isn't going to, that shading for that tree isn't going to be there. So try to make sure it's as accurate as possible by looking at 2D view. All right, so that's our ground mount. That's my new roof face I made for the garage. Then you press system, panels. So for ground mount, it is separate from modules. Modules is roofs, ground mounts, ground mounts. Let's do modules first for the roof. So again, select the solar panel. Yeah, make sure it's dual black ML. Cannot stress that enough. It will not auto-populate. Okay, click on that. So you can do this or this orientation. Let's just say this for now. This looks like it's a little small. So let me delete this real quick. You can always highlight and delete and redo. Let's re-highlight. I didn't like that orientation. Let's redo it. It's pretty interactive. The better you get at it, the better. So boom. See, if I did this orientation, it makes more panels. So yeah, play around, see kind of what fits the most. If you go into settings, you can you see here, it kind of gives standard offsets. So like ridges, this is kind of fire safety codes. Like, depending on the town, it might be 3 feet for ridges or like 1 foot. So if you're in rural areas, you can probably edit the setbacks, in your favor, because counties don't really, or rural counties don't really care about setbacks. So like, for example, if I did this, let's just do 1 foot for hips, ridges, edges for setback requirements. Then now I can toggle on more panels on the roof face when I auto populate. So let's check this out. Boom. So now I can fit 6 because I kind of changed the dimensions of the fire setback rules. Okay, so let's do the ground mount. Same panels. So select module 410 dual black. 410, where is it? See, that's not right. The right one is this one. And yeah, you can press tilt. You don't really need to press tilt because you already tilted the roof face. But if you made a flat roof face, then you would tilt the panels. Yeah, orientation, usually vertical. Height to base. Yeah, so then this is kind of base there. So yeah, if you did like a flat roof, you can always set the roof at 0 degrees and tilt it. And then you can start height to base at 0. But yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just make sure you didn't like skew it super crazy. All right, so for ground mounts, select, and you just kind of, once you select, you just kind of drag. So I'm just going to drag it this way. And then you click it again, and then you can kind of drag it down to add more panels. So this is a little bit more flexible. So let me get rid of that, press exit. So for this, for example, I can just kind of drag and make it 3x7, 3x8, 2x8. But keep in mind, the roof face you selected does have to be the same size as the ground mount. So like, as you can see, this ground mount's way bigger than the roof face. So it's not going to load or populate. So I do want to keep it the same as the roof face. So let's kind of, boom, let's make it tiny. Oops. Okay, I kind of messed this up. All right, Control Z. You messed up, you can always redo it, delete it. So there we go. Let's just Control Z, do that. Okay, so now I have a ground mount and I have this. Now you just press Simulate System, and then it's going to kind of load the shade report, all of that, etc. So if you click the wrong panel, it will not repopulate the design on here. Last thing I want to touch base on is if you wanted to remove a tree, what I do is you're going to have to get rid of their LiDAR. So you press Simulation. You see where it says Use LiDAR Shading. So basically it's auto-calculating all the trees around it. So let's just say this tree right there is gone. So if you wanted to remove that tree, you have to remove LiDAR Shading, and then you would have to auto-manually draw all these trees around it. So then press the tree button, click there, etc. Kind of size it the same as the crown. And then that would kind of, basically, yeah, so if you want to remove a tree, you're going to have to manually draw the rest of the trees so that this tree right here is gone, there's no shading. So kind of highlight like that. Try to make it a little bit accurate. These are obviously very poorly done. So, but yeah, this tree's gone, homeowner don't want it, that's how you do that. Then you press Simulate System. Now it'll re-simulate the shade design based on the trees you added. Everything else would be clear flat land. So that tree is no longer simulated as well. Okay, so once it says performance simulated completed, then you're good to go. Now I can go back to Sunnova. Oops, let me refresh. And then it's going to say sync design from Aurora, or you could just refresh it. And now it'll have a new LiDAR simulator. So yeah, there's the ground mount. Here's the new panels added in the garage, and this is what Aurora already created. So we see iridescence. It should have gone way up because I removed shading here, and I only added shading on the sides here in that tree. I was going to say what cooped up with. Boom. So now everything's bright yellow because I removed shading here, and I'll get trees on this side. So now it's a brighter orange, brighter yellow. All right, so that's Aurora 101. Obviously, try to be as accurate as possible because this did increase offset a lot from original. So you want to make sure it's pretty accurate there. All right, cool. Done with this video.